Spooky season might be around the corner, but if you're anything like me, then thrillers can creep into your reading year-round. I read 43 of them in the last 12 months, and not just to find out which are worth your time and which ones are just filler, but also to figure out what thrillers actually do to my reading life. Hello and welcome to or back to the channel. I'm Jay, for those of you who are new here. Over the past year, I chased every unsettling story I could get my hands on. Thrillers, suspense, horror, even mysteries that crept under my skin. 43 books later, some were shocking, some were solid, and a few were so good they've stayed with me ever since. In this video, I'm going to take you through all of them, but especially the ones I'd beg you to read this fall. And then at the end, I'll share the thrillers that rose above the rest and what I learned after a year of prioritizing thrillers. Let's start at the bottom, the ones that really didn't work for me. These include Such a Bad Influence by Olivia Munter, The Crash by Frida McFadden, Dearest by Jackie Walters, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. All of them had intriguing setups, but just didn't land. At the very bottom is Polybius by Colin Armstrong, and With a Vengeance by Riley Sager, even though it pains me to say that. These were the rare thrillers where I closed the book and thought, no.
Just no.
So those are the true misses. Now let's move into the middle tier. These are the thrillers I'd actually recommend if the premise catches your eye. They weren't life-changing, but they were fun, fast reads that kept me entertained in turning the pages. Frida had a whole group of these. The Coworker, The Inmate, The Boyfriend, The Ex, Never Lie, Do Not Disturb, Do You Remember, Wanna Know a Secret, and The Wife Upstairs. They're quick, bingeable thrillers, super easy to fly through, perfect if you're in the mood for popcorn-style suspense. A few other books also fell into this category of solid but not mind-blowing reads. The Only One Left by Riley Sager, The Amendment and the Atonement by Kirsten Modglin, The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry, I Shot by Taylor Adams, Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, and Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. Each had something that pulled me along, even if the suspense didn't fully deliver. On to a slightly better crew. Quite a few landed here as well. Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, The Arrangement by Kirsten Modglin, The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchison, Fantastic Land by Mike Bakoven, The Black Farm by Elias Withrow, and Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. These all had strong concepts or a creepy atmosphere. They're just not ones I can truthfully say are must-reads. That was the middle shelf, solid thrillers, worth a look if the premise hooks you. Okay, so now we're moving on to my must-reads, the thrillers that I would press into your hands if I could. These 11 stood out for their atmosphere, their twists, or the way they lingered after I finished. Let's start with A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. A family lets a reality TV crew document their teenage daughter's supposed possession, and the line between mental illness, performance, and the supernatural blurs. This is smart, layered horror that will keep you second-guessing every page. Perfect if you want a thriller that gets under your skin and refuses to let go. And then there's Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, which takes that same unsettled feeling, but throws you into a completely different kind of nightmare. One where the natural world itself feels off. In it, 4 women venture into the quarantined Area X, a place where nature itself feels wrong. It's eerie, immersive, and hauntingly original. If you love thrillers with a sci-fi edge, rich atmosphere, and creeping dread, this one's for you. Now from the strange and cerebral, let's shift gears into the kind of thrillers that are pure page-turning fun. AKA, this is the Frida McFadden portion of this video. We'll start off with The Teacher. Set in a high school where secrets lurk behind every door, this one is sharp, twisty, and compulsively readable. A bingeable thriller for fans of domestic or workplace suspense, with reveals that keep you hooked until the end. And if you like school settings, wait until you're locked in for the night with this next one. Ward D. A medical student spends the night in a locked psych ward, and things unravel quickly. Claustrophobic and packed with tension, this is the kind of story you'll want to devour in one sitting. If you enjoy locked room thrillers, this one is a must. Frida has a knack for turning everyday jobs into nightmares, and this next one is no exception. The Locked Door. The daughter of a serial killer, now a surgeon, tries to outrun her past until new murders mimic her father's crimes. Dark, clever, and relentlessly paced, this book grabs you immediately. Perfect for readers who love the mix of psychology and suspense. And speaking of family secrets, this next book proves that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones closest to home. The Perfect Son. On the surface, he's the golden boy, but the cracks in the family facade keep widening. Addictive, twisty, and full of
Wait, what?
moments. Perfect for fans of domestic thrillers with a sinister streak. And of course, sometimes it's not about family drama at all. Sometimes it's pure survival. One by one, a group stranded in the mountains, in my home state of Colorado, by the way, starts disappearing one by one. Tense, atmospheric, and full of paranoia. If you love survival thrillers with "and then there were none" vibes, add this one to your list. And if isolation wasn't scary enough, let's head to an anatomy lab where danger lurks behind every door. Dead Med. Set in the high-stakes world of medicine, this thriller is sharp, suspenseful, and full of Frida's signature twists. One of her best for fans who love thrillers in professional settings. But if you really want Frida at her best, this next one takes the crown. Brain Damage. A psychological medical thriller that's shocking and unputdownable. It's Frida firing on all cylinders, almost doesn't even read like Frida McFadden, and it's one of her most memorable books for me. If you're looking for the standout in her catalog, I'd say start here. Okay, now let's step away from popcorn thrillers, aka Frida McFadden thrillers, and dive into some darker, moodier, atmospheric stunners. Blood Cruise by Mats Stromberg. A cruise through the Baltic Sea turns into a nightmare when the party atmosphere shifts into pure terror. Immersive, chilling, and unique. A must if you like a big ensemble thriller with a creeping sense of doom. And if the ocean feels too far removed, here's one that hits closer to home, but with just as many secrets. The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden yet again. A young woman agrees to carry a child for a seemingly perfect couple and uncovers secrets she never saw coming. Suspenseful, emotional, and one of Frida's more layered thrillers. If you want a domestic thriller with extra punch, pick this one up. Okay, those were my must-reads, but now we need to talk about the 3 thrillers that went beyond even that. These weren't just favorites, they were unforgettable. My god-tier thrillers of the year. The first is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Emmalynn Reed. A young woman drives with her boyfriend to meet his parents, all while quietly planning to end the relationship. The trip gets darker and stranger until nothing feels safe or even real. It's chilling, unsettling, and unforgettable. If you want a quick read that bends reality and lingers long after, this one's a must. I actually cover this one in great detail in my Reading Horror Until I'm Scared video. So if that interests you, go check out that video after this one. I'll link it in the description below. So if that one had me questioning reality, this next one went straight for the cold, calculated side of human nature. And it was just as haunting. Confessions by Kanae Minato is told in razor-sharp monologues, beginning with a teacher accusing her students of a horrific crime and spiraling into layers of revenge and moral reckoning. It's chilling, precise, and unlike anything else I've ever read. A must if you love thrillers that are both shocking and thought-provoking. And then from reality-bending terror to razor-sharp revenge, we land on the book that eclipsed everything else. All the Colors of the Dark. This was my absolute standout. A sweeping, emotional thriller that blends mystery, heartbreak, and unforgettable characters. Beautifully written and full of suspense. It's the one I'd recommend to anyone, even outside of thriller fans. If you only pick up one book from this entire list, make it this one. So there you have it, all 43 thrillers that I read in the last 12 months. Some were forgettable, plenty were fun, and 14 of them I'd actually beg you to read. But the 3 that rose to my god tier status, Confessions, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and All the Colors of the Dark, are the ones I will carry with me for a long time. And after looking back on the year, here's what I learned. Thrillers are the best slump busters. Nothing snaps me out of a reading rut faster. The pacing and tension just pull you back in. They're also the best distraction during tough times. When life feels heavy, thrillers have the best chance of hijacking my attention and keeping me focused. Thrillers make amazing palate cleansers. I used to only reach for romance to reset my reading, but now I know a quick, twisty thriller does the job just as well, if not better. Some thrillers absolutely should not be read at night. For instance, The Black Farm was never even allowed in my bedroom. But others are perfect for bedtime.
Frida McFadden pajama party, anyone?
Whether you can handle them, I guess, really depends on your nerves. And finally, thrillers are like pizza. Even the bad ones are still totally bingeable, unless it's Polybius or With a Vengeance. I hope that this gave you some ideas for your own fall reading. Now, tell me in the comments, if you had to recommend one thriller to me, what would it be? I'm always chasing my next 5-star. And if you like this kind of wrap up, subscribe and join me for more bookish content. Thanks so much for spending your time here with me today, and I'll see you all again soon in the next video. Bye.
Change is constant, learning to flow.